My boyfriend had a wife. I found out my boyfriend had a wife. The Mambo No. 5. I should have seen it sooner. The late-night calls that he would take outside my earshot. The days he'd insist on absolute radio silence for work reasons. The constant references to stressful family stuff that he never wanted to discuss. But when you think you're in love, you paint over red flags, telling yourself they're just misunderstandings. I was guilty of that, big time. My boyfriend, who I'll refer to as Alex, had a secret so big it could split the ground open beneath us. He was married, not separated, not divorced. Actually fully, legally, ceremoniously married. And how did I find out? From his wife, of course. It started with a simple message in my inbox one evening. I was scrolling through my phone, regular post-dinner doom scrolling as I like to call it, when I spotted a message request on my social media. The profile picture showed a woman who looked poised, and her name, let's say, Lauren, didn't ring any immediate bells, but the subject line was urgent. I need to speak with you about Alex. That caught my attention instantly. I opened it, and the words practically jumped off my screen. Hey, I'm so sorry to message you like this, but I've just discovered my husband is seeing you. I don't know what lies he's told, but we are not separated. We are certainly not divorced. Please get in touch when you can. My stomach lurched. It felt like a trap. My immediate instinct was denial. There had to be a misunderstanding. Alex always told me he was in the process of getting a divorce. I could still replay the conversation from the first time he admitted he had some baggage. We're separated, he said, eyes cast downward as though it was a sore subject. But the paperwork is taking longer than expected. It's basically done. She's moving on. I'm moving on. I had believed him without a second thought. Now I saw that might have been a load of lies. To verify, I messaged Lauren back, carefully tiptoeing around the topical. I'm so sorry to hear this. He told me you two were separated. Are you sure we're talking about the same Alex? He told me he's basically divorced. It didn't take her long to send another response. She rattled off detail after detail. His middle name, his birth date, a photo of them together from just 2 weeks ago, references to the apartment they shared. The Times had claimed to be out with his friends, but was actually out with me. I felt my face burn with embarrassment. This was real. I'd been conned into being the other woman without even knowing it. Anger simmered inside me, layered with betrayal and heartbreak. But rather than directing our fury at each other, like so many triangles do, Lauren and I found ourselves bonding. She seemed tired, emotionally drained. Apparently, it wasn't the first time Alex had done this. He had a history of emotional affairs, or so he called them, though clearly they were more than just emotional. She'd had enough. I'd had enough. It was time to make him pay. I'm not normally the vengeful type. In my day-to-day life, if a friend betrays me or a coworker tries to take credit for my work, I address it directly and move on. But with Alex, something snapped. This wasn't just a petty betrayal. He lied about his entire marital status. He wasted my emotional energy, my time, my affection. In an odd twist, Lauren felt similarly. She'd spent years trying to salvage their marriage, believing his promises of fidelity. This time, she was done. We hopped on a phone call one night. What began as a tearful venting session turned into a brainstorming session. If we confronted him outright, he'd just do what he always did. Apologize, spin tales of misunderstanding, promise to do better. We wanted something bigger, more orchestrated. Maybe that sounds vindictive, but when your heart's been trampled by the same man's lies, you start dreaming of ways to teach him a lesson he won't forget. What if, Lauren said, voice hesitant at first, we create fake profiles, pretend to be other women he's flirting with, and see how far he goes with it. She was half joking, I think. But I latched onto that idea immediately. I'd heard stories from friends about catfishing cheating partners to catch them in the act, but I wanted to take it further, to replicate the chaos he was sowing. That's when my brain made the connection to Mambo No. 5. It was random, I admit, but the tune popped into my head as I remembered how Alex once dismissed it as a silly, misogynistic song. The track is basically about a guy naming different women he's juggling, a little bit of Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra, Mary, Jessica, and he never sees them as actual people with feelings. It hit me. That's exactly how Alex lived his love life. We decided we'd flip that on him. using the very names from the song as the women he was chatting with, each from a different online platform or phone number. Lauren loved it. We called it the Mambo No 5 plan. First, we needed multiple phone numbers and social media accounts. That was simpler than I expected. I discovered SM apps that let you generate temporary phone numbers. Perfect. I created one for Monica, one for Erica, one for Rita, and so on. Each account had a slightly different profile picture. Generic photos found on free stock image websites, with no watermarks or backgrounds that would give away their origins. We mapped it out. Monica would chat with him on Instagram. Erica would use text messages via one SM. Rita would be on Facebook Messenger. Tina on WhatsApp. Sandra on another SM. Mary would DM him on Twitter. Jessica on Snapchat. It was ridiculous, but that was the point. Alex had so many secrets. We figured he might just buy it if we spaced things out strategically, especially because he prided himself on keeping track of his women. The plan: each woman would send him a short, flirtatious message referencing some kind of secret tryst, mirroring the lyrics from Mambo No. 5, for example, Monica: I need you in my life. Erica: felt so good when you fucked me sideways. Rita: you're all I need to be happy. Tina: I know it's complicated, but I only have eyes for you. Sandra: I miss seeing you at the gym. Hope it's not because of our post-workout sub-sessions. Mary: when you coming for another sleepover? Jessica: I'm here if you need to talk. We would shuffle these messages over the course of several weeks, so it wouldn't look too obvious. The key was to keep them short, sweet, and scandalous enough to raise suspicion if his wife or girlfriend, me, ever stumbled upon them. Because, of course, that's precisely what we intended. Lauren and I would trade off finding these messages on his phone or noticing pings from suspicious sources. I kicked off the ruse with Monica on Instagram. I crafted a quick DM. Hey babe, missing you like crazy. When can we meet again? Then I sat back and waited. It didn't take long. Within a day, Alex responded with a somewhat cautious but clearly intrigued reply. Hey, do I know you? Monica shot back. Don't pretend you don't remember me. The night we danced. That was unforgettable. He was hooked. I could practically picture the gears turning in his head. Had he flirted with some random Monica at a bar? Did he hand out his Instagram handle? He decided to play along. Over the next few days, we built a short back and forth. He never admitted not knowing her, which told me everything I needed to know. He was fully prepared to juggle yet another fling. As soon as Alex got comfortable chatting with Monica on Instagram, I introduced Erica as a text contact. She messaged him, Hey, it's Erica. I'm not sure if you blocked my previous number, but I miss you. Felt so good when you fucked me sideways last week. The text was so brazen, I half expected him to call it out as a hoax. But no, he replied with, We met last week. Where? She came back with, Stop playing dumb. You're the one who told me your favorite position was sideways. Are you too drunk to remember? He tried to save face, replying with a vague, Sorry, things are hazy from that night. But yeah, that was amazing. There it was. He was so desperate to keep every potential fling going that he'd lie and pretend he remembered an encounter that never even happened. Meanwhile, Rita on Facebook Messenger pinged him with a sweet, almost romantic line, You're all I need to be happy. He responded similarly, You know I can't give you everything right now, but I want to. More lies. The pattern was nauseating. Every time he'd pretend to recall details that didn't exist, thinking maybe he'd actually slept with these women, and forgot. When Tina, Sandra, Mary, and Jessica appeared, each referencing a different gym meetup or a late-night sleepover or an intimate chat, Alex juggled them all. And each time, he said just enough to keep them interested. Never mind that each conversation contradicted the other. Lauren and I set it up so that we'd discover these messages at opportune times. Sometimes I'd be at his place and I'd say, Hey, my phone's dead. Can I use yours to look something up? Then I'd scroll past notifications from Erica, Tina, and Mary, while making a show of gasping in shock. He'd panic. It's not what you think. I'd feed him a chance to spin his excuses. He'd stutter about old flings or spam messages, or a friend playing a prank on him. I'd act angry, but not enough to dump him right then. Just enough that he'd live in constant anxiety that I might blow up. Lauren did the same at their shared apartment. She'd say, Hey, can you order takeout for us on your phone? Or, I need to see that old picture we took last summer. Do you still have it on your phone? Then she'd pretend to stumble on messages from Rita or Sandra. Her tactic was to cry softly, making him panic even more. She'd ask tearful questions. Why would you do this again? He'd attempt to console her with empty promises. Then he'd claim these new women must be old flings who were harassing him, or that he was just telling them to back off or some other nonsense. She'd let him wiggle out of it for the moment. We could see it in his face. He was fraying at the edges. Here he was, lying to 2 real women he was actually involved with, but also to these 7 fictional women he believed existed. The look of dread whenever one of us casually mentioned, "Oh, can I borrow your phone?" was priceless. He'd stiffen, eyes darting left and right, obviously trying to remember if he'd muted or hidden those chat threads. The real kicker was that each name, Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra, Mary, Jessica, came with lines that closely resembled Lubigai's Mambo No. 5 lyrics. We didn't want to copy them word for word, but we kept it close enough for us to privately laugh about how Alex was basically living out the misogynistic fantasy he'd once bragged was just a guy having fun. A typical day might see him receiving a text from Erica about sideways sex, followed by an Instagram DM from Monica insisting, "I need you in my life." Then Facebook Messenger would beep with Rita claiming, "You're all I need to be happy." The pattern repeated often enough that we suspected he was trying to figure out if it was all connected, but the messages were just varied enough that he never outright confronted me or Lauren about a single conspiracy. He'd look at me sometimes, suspicious. "You wouldn't be messing with me, would you?" he asked once, a grin on his face that didn't quite reach his eyes. I pretended to be offended. Why would I do something that immature? He shook his head and we moved on, but I could see the wheels spinning. He'd cheated multiple times. He probably couldn't remember all the phone numbers or social handles he'd given out. For all he knew, these were real women from his shadowy past cropping up at the worst possible time. Lauren and I kept each other updated with near-daily calls. I'd say, "He just told me that Sandra is a coworker from out of state. He's trying to sell that story now." She'd reply, "He told me. Tina is an old friend from college. It's hilarious how he's weaving these lies." We reveled in the absurdities. Yet, amid the laughter, I felt a small pang of sadness now and then. I did care for him, or at least I had. Learning that our entire relationship was built on a lie stung like nothing else. But the taste of revenge was a sweet antidote to the bitterness. Lauren, on the other hand, had lived with him for years. She was beyond heartbreak. She was at that numb stage where you go through the motions, all while planning your exit. She'd told me she wanted to gather her documents, find a lawyer, secure her finances, and then serve him with divorce papers. This entire fiasco was giving her the time she needed to do just that, all while keeping him off balance so he wouldn't suspect her real intentions. After a couple of weeks, Alex was a mess. He'd forward bizarre text threads to his best friend asking for advice, not knowing that Lauren had hacked his email and could see those forwarded messages. He wrote, "Dude, I have no memory of hooking up with these chicks. Could I have been blacked out? They're sending me details only I would know, like how I like to do it sideways. Maybe someone's messing with me." His friends' responses were pure gold. "Maybe you actually did black out. Wouldn't be the first time. Just come clean with your girl, man." The irony. He was lying to us about being single. Now he was lying to his friend about hooking up with multiple women. There was no end to his deceptions. Lauren and I noticed he began taking his phone everywhere, even the shower. One morning, she reported that he'd woken up to find 16 messages from different accounts, each referencing a part of Mambo No. 5. He nearly threw his phone across the room in panic. She pretended to wake up, rubbing her eyes, asking, "Is everything okay, Bab?" He just stammered, "Yeah, spam." He started turning off notifications, but we'd still send messages at random times so that if he ever needed to check something, those chat bubbles would appear. If we felt like ramping up the tension, we'd spam him all at once. Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra, Mary, Jessica, all within 5 minutes. We could almost smell his fear. While all this was happening, Lauren was quietly finalizing her own plan to leave him. She made sure any joint accounts were disentangled, found a new place to stay, and lined up a lawyer to file for divorce. I, on my side, was biding my time, waiting for the moment to confront him one last time and walk away. We wanted a big finale, something that would let us both say, "We know everything, and we're done on." One Friday night, Lauren gave me the green light. She had signed her new lease, scheduled an appointment with her lawyer for Monday to officially file. We agreed that I'd confront Alex that weekend after a few more Mambo messages and let him realize that his fake world of flings was about to come crashing down. So on Saturday afternoon, I visited him at his place, where Lauren had pretended to leave for errands. She was actually waiting nearby. I stormed in, phone in hand. "Alex, these messages from Mary and Sandra. What the hell is going on?" As expected, he started stuttering. "Those are old friends. They're lying. They're just messing with me, I promise." I spun around, tears in my eyes, yelling about how betrayed I felt. He tried to hold me, but I pushed him away. Right on cue, Lauren walked in, looking every bit the fed-up wife. "So, more women, Alex. Or do you want to explain these messages on Facebook from Tina and Rita?" The color drained from his face. He was cornered, both of us there, demanding answers. He tried to backtrack, to claim they were old flames, or that maybe it was spam. We let him dangle for a few excruciating minutes, each of us reading out loud some of the scandalous messages from Monica, Erica, and the rest. He looked frantic, sweaty, eyes darting around the room as if searching for a possible escape route. Then Lauren dropped the bomb. "I'm filing for divorce on Monday." His mouth opened, but no words came out. Then I spoke, "And I'm leaving you. For good. I was never going to be your side chick. Enjoy your imaginary harem." I'll never forget the expression on his face. Disbelief, rage, desperation. He tried to spin it one last time. "This is a misunderstanding. You both are making a mistake." We let him stew. It was glorious, albeit heartbreaking in its own twisted way. I'd never stooped to such extremes usually, but watching him squirm after all the hurt he caused felt validating. Lauren packed her last few things that same day, tossing them into her car. I'd already planned to drive home on my own, ignoring any pleas from him. We left him, quite literally, in an empty house with only his phone buzzing from unknown numbers. We never told him directly that we'd orchestrated the entire fiasco. We wanted him to live with the paranoia that maybe it was real, or maybe not. The only thing he knew for sure was that both of us had had enough. Over the next few weeks, Lauren sent me updates. She served him with the divorce papers, and he tried to bargain his way out of it. She had screenshot after screenshot of his half-baked excuses, each one more pathetic than the last. But she held firm. No more second chances. As for me, I blocked him on all my accounts, changed my number, and moved on. I felt strangely liberated. Occasionally I had reread the messages from Mambo Na 5, smirking at how easily he fell into that trap. A small part of me felt guilty for stooping to a level of deception, but then I'd remember how thoroughly he'd lied to me from the start, claiming to be separated when he was, in fact, fully married. He deserved everything we threw at him and more. Was it petty? Absolutely. Immature? Probably. But did it satisfy that raw need for closure? 100%. To this day, Lauren and I remain in touch. An unlikely bond forged through betrayal. She's doing better now, recovering from the emotional roller coaster of being married to a chronic cheater. I'm in a healthier relationship with someone who communicates openly and doesn't hide behind false pretenses. And that fiasco of a relationship with Alex is in the rearview mirror, though the story lives on in my memory. And, truth be told, in a few boozy nights out with friends when I need a laugh. I've always found it ironic that we used a song with such a bad reputation for objectifying women as the tool for revenge on a man who basically did just that. As we teased Alex with Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra, Mary, Jessica, we forced him to chase illusions of his own making, the illusions that he could charm any woman, that he was so irresistible he could keep multiple partners on a string. In the end, his illusions turned around and bit him. People often ask if we took it too far. Why not just expose him to each other and walk away? Well, we did eventually walk away, but not before giving him a taste of the anxious, deceit-filled world he constructed for us. If he learned anything, maybe it was that you can't lie to everyone for everyone. Sooner or later, the truth catches up with you. Or, in our case, the truth conspires with your wife to reveal your lies in the most theatrical way possible. I don't lose sleep over it, and I hope Lauren doesn't either. We gave him weeks of torment, sleepless nights, frantic phone checks, cold sweats whenever a new woman messaged him. Then, We both pulled the plug. Petty, yes. Cathartic, without a doubt. And if I'm being honest, a part of me is still proud of the pure creativity involved. The best part, he never did figure it out. He never confronted either of us with concrete proof that these women were fake. He may still be scratching his head, wondering how he managed to forget hooking up with so many ladies. Maybe he's convinced himself they were real, that he just blacked out too many times. At this point, it's not my concern. He's firmly in the past, where he belongs. Sometimes late at night, I'll think about the entire saga and smile to myself. It's not something I'd ever want to repeat. Playing mind games on that scale is exhausting, but given the circumstances, I don't regret it. There's a certain poetry in using a song that objectifies women to torment a guy who treated women like disposable toys. A perfect finale to a relationship built on lies. So that's the story. I discovered my boyfriend was married, teamed up with his wife, and executed the Mambo No 5 plan. Together, we turned his life into a carnival of fake side flings, each dropping suggestive messages tailor-made to erode his sanity. After a few weeks of letting him twist in the wind, we both gave him the boot. It was messy, it was dramatic, and it was definitely petty. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel damn good. If my story leaves you with anything, let it be this. Never underestimate the power of a scorned woman. Or, in this case, two scorned women working together in creative harmony. I know there's a moral high ground somewhere, but I didn't feel like standing on it at the time. Sometimes, turning the tables is all the closure you need. And with that, I raise a metaphorical glass to Monica, Erica, Rita, Tina, Sandra, Mary, and Jessica. The imaginary lineup that helped two betrayed women walk away from a lying cheater with our heads held high and a triumphant grin on our faces. Cheers to that!